refuse to lose. I'm built to win. Applied myself, I filled it in. No time for the doubt, they counting me out, I'm getting it in. Yeah. No time for no loss, I'm paying the cost, I'm in it to win. Yeah. Refuse. Mine, it can't be diffused. If you ain't thinking the same, then we playing by different rules. You can't see the vision, we living at different views. Until we complete the mission, keep getting up, never snooze. I walked a mile in my shoes, had the mind of a fool, chasing diamonds and jewels. Trust me, I was confused. Started minding my business and used my mind as a tool. Ended up finding my purpose and found the time to get to it. They told me I couldn't do it, they told me I couldn't make it. They sold it, could never break it. That's sadly mistaken. I need a piece of the pie, I want it so bad I can taste it. They told me like Toby, keep on running, toes they gon' take them. Refuse to lose, built to win. Applied myself, I filled it in. No time for the doubt, they counting me out, I'm getting it in. Yeah. No time for no loss, I pay for the cost, I'm winning to win. Yeah. Refuse to lose, I'm built to win. Applied myself, I filled it in. No time for the doubt, they counting me out, I'm getting it in. Yeah. No time for no loss, I'm paying the cost, I'm in it to win. Yeah. Refuse.
Welcome back to CTC. I'm your gracious host, Carl, and I'm back with another episode. And today we have the second day of the round of 32 in the NIT and the second day of the round of 68 in the March Madness tournament. Now, as you can see, my NIT day yesterday went marvelous, 6-2. My losses were Yale, which Nick Townsend missed 4 free throws down the stretch. Trevor Mullen took a bad step back late in the ball game, literally with like seconds left. I think that was more so of a sale. Yale should have won that game, but it is what it is. Shout out to UNCW, UNC Wilmington for getting the dub. Shout out Patrick Wessler, big buckets down the stretch in that game. And my other NIT loss was the Tommies. I did pick the Tommies as dogs against Seattle, and Seattle won that game. Now, I didn't really watch that one because that one was on ESPN Plus. And I had my quad box going with YouTube TV with the SMU Texas game, Auburn, South Alabama, Tulsa, Stephen F. Austin, which went to overtime. Tulsa won that game in overtime. But, yeah, the Tommies did end up losing on the road to Seattle. So, shout out to Seattle for advancing. Now, dogs in the NIT yesterday went 7-1. UNC Wilmington obviously covered, being a dog and winning outright. Liberty, which I gave y'all on CTC, was a dog and won outright. Wyoming was down to 5.5, lost by 4, so they covered. Davidson, they lost by 4, so they covered. I think they were as low as 6.5, as high as 8.5. Now with the Oklahoma State game, I looked to see who was not playing. Anthony Roy, Victorious Miller, and Coleman. Nothing was out there about them. That suspension thing I found out about this morning. No idea they were not playing. But Oklahoma State, shout out to Kanye Clary and the boys, was able to get the dub. Stephen F. Austin looked like they were about to win the game against Tulsa, but Tulsa forces overtime and wins it. But Stephen F. Austin covered. I did tell y'all to take the points with Stephen F. Austin because I did myself. So that covered. Auburn won, but only by 11. South Alabama. I even said on my show, I don't think Auburn's going to cover that 17.5, 18.5 against South Alabama. And they did not. And UNLV won outright against UC Irvine, which I did give y'all as an outright dog on the show. So, again, dogs went 7-1 in the NIT. Now, to the tournament. Your boy had a bad day. But me... Round of 68 does this to me all the time. Went 0-2 in the round of 68. I did pick UMBC. Howard kind of dominated that game defensively. UMBC struggled with that press at times, especially in the first half. So that was an outright dog win there. And then I should have stayed with Texas, man. I went NC State on the revenge side of the game. In Texas, Tremont Mark, 2 clutch baskets to seal it for NC State. As Texas, as a dog, they were a favorite. They went to a dog, beats NC State. So dogs in the tournament so far in both tournaments are 9-1. So just a little stat to keep track of. But I am 0-2 in the tournament round of 68, which I believe I started 0-2 in the round of 68 before I went on my crazy streak. Again, had a day and a half perfect bracket last year. Only had 2 games wrong in the round of 64. So seems like it may be like last year. So who knows? But that's it about yesterday. Let's get into today's games, and we're going to do it like yesterday. We're going to do the NIT first, and then do the tournament. So we're going to start with the NIT, and we got Wake Forest, well, Navy at Wake Forest, man. Navy is coming to this one. It's 10.5-point dogs. This game is 7:00 on ESPNU. So it is 20 to, I'm going to say 15 to 20 minutes before after the actual tournament game. The tournament games that start is tip off scheduled for 6:40. Now, will it tip off at 6:40? Who knows? But this is 20 minutes after. It is on ESPNU. So if you like me and got YouTube TV, you could put it in the quad box, dual box, whatever you want to do. But Navy, they are led by Austin Denergy. I don't know how I just muted myself, but we should be back. Austin Denergy is averaging 18 points per game, 4.4 assists, and 1.3 steals per game. Aiden Kehoe averaging 15.4 points per game. Let me make sure my mic is not. There we go. 15.4 points per game, 10.9 rebounds, 1.2 steals, and 1.2 blocks. Hold on. I'm sorry. I get like this sometimes. So that joint just said I was muted. I want to make sure. I'm going to go back in the stream real quick and make sure that I am not, or was not muted earlier. I'm so sorry, y'all. I got to do it now because now my mind's wandering like, man, was I mute this whole time? So give me 1 second. I'm about to pull up the stream on my phone. Now my mind's wandering like, man, was I mute this whole time? Let me mute my mic real quick. Give me 5 seconds. All right, I'm back. I wasn't cool. Just had to make sure. But maybe 9.9 points per game. I don't know why that just flashed, but 9.9 points per game. The X factor is Donovan Draper. He's going to help rebounding at 6.6 rebounds per game. That's going to be key. Not allowing second chance opportunities. So guys like Duke Harris or Miles Colvin can get extra opportunities to score the basketball. For Wake Forest, they're led by, as I mentioned, Duke Harris. Duke Harris is averaging 21.3 points per game, 6.5 rebounds, and 1.3 steals. Miles Colvin averaging 11.6 points per game, 4.5 rebounds, and 1.2 steals per game. And Trayvon Spillers averaging 10.8 points per game, 5.6 rebounds, 1 steal, and 1.5 blocks per game. Now, their X factor to me, who is questionable, is Nate Calmes, who's shooting a three-pointer at 41.9% from three. His three-point shooter is going to be big against Navy. So that is my X factor. But my winner, I'm going Wake Forest. I think Wake Forest is a competent ACC team. They're just in a deep ACC. Also, early in the year in the non-con, Wake Forest did have some losses, but they had some close losses against some competent competition. So I think that Wake Forest is a good enough team to beat Navy. Now, will they cover this 10.5? That is very questionable. I think they can do it, especially at home. But I definitely have Wake Forest winning this ball game and moving on in the NIT. Next, we have the MAC versus the Missouri Valley. Kent State at Illinois State, 8:00 on ESPN Plus. Illinois State is actually 5.5-point favorites in this ball game. Kent State, they are led by the big fella, Delrico Gillespie. Delrico is averaging 18.1 points per game, 11.2 rebounds, 1 steal, and 1.3 blocks. Morgan Safford, averaging 14.2 points per game and 5.6 rebounds. And Rob Whaley, who's averaging 11.6 points per game and 4.2 rebounds per game. Now, their X factor to me is Sion Medley, the point guard, who's averaging 6.4 assists per game. I think his facilitation in this game will be big against the Illinois State team who can really score the basketball. So I think he's going to be an X factor in this one. But Illinois State, they are led by Chase Walker, averaging 13.5 points per game, 5.3 rebounds, and 1 steal. Johnny Kinzinger, averaging 11.4 points per game, 1.3 steals, and Tyreek Coleman, averaging 10.3 points per game. Now, their X factor to me is going to be Bowden Skunkberg and his three-point shooting, as well as the scoring ability. He's averaging 10.1 points per game, shooting the three ball at 42.4% from the three-point line. Kent State is also a team that can score the basketball, so his three-point shooting helped neutralize Kent State scoring, Delrico Gillespie scoring in the paint. So I think that'd be huge. But I'm going with the upset. I am taking Kent State over Illinois State. I love Kent State as a MAC school. I think they're a really good MAC school, like really good. Now, obviously, I don't think they're better than Akron, but I think they can compete with Akron. I think they can compete with Miami of Ohio. I think that they beat this Illinois State team on the road, man. I was honestly confused and shocked that the line went to Illinois State, to be honest. Now part of that could be because Illinois State is at home, but I like Kent State in this matchup. So give me Kent State in this matchup with the big fella down low, not Rob, oh my lord, with Delrico Gillespie. I like Rob Whaley, the transfer from UNLV as well. I think that they can score the basketball at a high rate against Illinois State. So give me Kent State to win this ball game. Next, we have George Washington. Shout out to DMV. It's in DC. At Utah Valley at 8 o'clock on ESPN Plus. Now, George Washington is a solid A10 school. They were very competitive. Utah Valley was the top Western Athletic Conference school in Western Athletic Conference last year as a conference. We're so close to tying up game going to overtime against Cal Baptist. Again, missed dunk ruined that. But George Washington, they are led by Rafael Castro, averaging 15.4 points per game, 8.8 rebounds, 1.7 steals, and 1.7 blocks per game. Garrett Johnson, averaging 11.6 points per game, and Trey Autry, averaging 10.8 points per game and 3.7 boards per game. Their X factor to me is Trey Dinkins, the transfer from Duquesne, and his three-point shooting ability, averaging 38.4% shooting percentage from the three-point line. Next, we have Utah Valley, led by Jackson Holcomb. Jackson Holcomb is averaging 15.6 points per game, 7.1 rebounds, 3.5 assists, 2.2 steals, and 1.3 blocks per game. Trayvon Leonard, averaging 12.1 points per game, 5.5 rebounds, 6 assists, and 2.1 steals. And Tyler Hendricks, the transfer from UCF, is averaging 11.8 points per game, 4.3 rebounds per game, and 1.2 steals per game. Now, their X factor to me is Hayden Welling and his offensive interior presence, averaging 7.4 points per game. I think he's going to be big down low or just in the paint. I think he's going to be big in the paint. But I'm going with Utah Valley. This game is super close, and I can understand why. Again, George Washington is a very competitive A10 school. But I do think Utah Valley can have a chance to dominate down low. I do think George Washington can get cold from the field, and if that happens, I do think Utah Valley can take advantage of it. So give me Utah Valley to beat George Washington at home in the NIT and move on. And next, we have actually one of my favorites to win the NIT, the Dayton Flyers taking on the Bradley Braves in Bradley. Dayton's actually a 2.5 point road favorite, This game is 9 o'clock on ESPNU, so it definitely will be on my quad box. But Dayton, they're led by Javon Bennett. Javon Bennett averaging 16.2 points per game, 1.5 steals. Deshane Montgomery averaging 13.4 points per game, 4.2 rebounds, and 2.2 steals. And Amal Atane averaging 12.1 points per game, 5.8 rebounds, and 1.2 blocks. The X factor to me is Jordan Durkak. Now, I think Jordan Durkak, when he came back from injury, helped Dayton a ton. His ability to get to the line, got to make them free throws. I will say he's kind of been slacking on making free throws lately. He does have the ability to shoot a three. I'm not going to say he's a marksman from three, but he has the ability to hit the three ball. But his ability to get to the basket, get to the line, finish at the rim, I think is important for the Flyers. He's averaging 9.5 points per game. Bradley, they're led by Jaquan Johnson, averaging 17.1 points per game, 3.9 rebounds, 3.6 assists, and 2.6 steals per game. Alex Hubertos, averaging 12.6 points per game, and Amet Jonovic averaging 8.2 points per game, 5.4 rebounds, and 1.3 blocks per game, the big fella. Now, the X factor to me is AJ Smith and his ability to help rebounding at 5.3 rebounds and scoring 8.5 points per game. I think that's going to be big because you definitely want to keep Dayton off the offensive glass because Dayton already can score points. They play with good defense, but if you give them extra opportunities, they can run you out the building. But my winner is Dayton. Like I said, man, Dayton is one of my favorites to win the NIT. So I kind of spoiled that already. I think Dayton's a really good team. And Dayton was I don't want to say they was kind of close. They almost made a comeback to win the A10 tournament. But I think Dayton gave the A10 a scare and was I don't want to say kind of close, but they almost had a run to make the NCAA tournament. And I think that's going to fuel the NIT run to try to possibly win the NIT title. So give me Dayton to beat Bradley on the road as a 2.5 point favorite against the Braves. Next, we got my boy Po Boy King, who is I seen questionable. I did see he was questionable. He did not play against Kennesaw State in the game they lost in the Conference USA tournament. I want to say that was the semifinals. But he is questionable. But they'll be taking on New Mexico, who y'all know I like New Mexico. They pissed me off at times, but I do like New Mexico. I love the Pit, like I said on previous shows. It might be on my bucket list to watch a game at the Pit. But again, Sam Houston, they're led by Po Boy King, who is questionable, averaging 14.1 points per game. Jacob Walker averaging 11.4 points per game. And Kashi Nat, Kashi Nat, he had a really good game against Kennesaw State. He averages 10.7 points per game, 8.3 rebounds, and 2.1 steals per game. Their X factor to me is going to be Vetsko Iliak, who's averaging 11.4 points per game, 6.4 rebounds. So his scoring and rebounding is going to be big against the New Mexico team, who plays defense really well. Offensively, they can struggle to score, but I think New Mexico plays really good defense. So they're going to have to get extra scoring, and I think he's going to be a guy where it's going to have to come from. New Mexico, they're led by Jake Hall, averaging 16 points per game. Tomislav Buhan, who's averaging 12.5 points per game, 10.4 rebounds, and 1.1 steals. And Dayton Albury, who's averaging 11.8 points per game, 3.6 rebounds, and 1.3 steals. Now, my X factor in this one is going to be Uriah Tenet. Uriah Tenet is going to have to take advantage of the Sam Houston defense and get buckets, whether that's coming off the bench or whether that's starting. He did start in their last game against San Diego State, where they lost by 2 in the conference semis. I believe that was the Mountain West Conference semis. They lost by 2. And he's averaging 10.4 points per game. So he's going to have to score buckets to help this New Mexico team. But my win is New Mexico. I just think New Mexico is just too much for Sam Houston. I can see Sam Houston, especially with no Po Boy King getting the scoring drought, especially with the size of JT Rock and Tomislav Buhan. JT Rock coming off the bench. JT Rock can also shoot the 3-ball. But I can see Jake Hall kind of getting into the flow of the offense. I can see Buhan being a dominant force down low offensively and defensively. So give me New Mexico to beat Sam Houston. Should probably cover this 12.5, but I would take a flyer on that. Next, we have Murray State taking on Nevada. Nevada is I think that's also a really good Mountain West Conference team. Murray State is a kind of up and down Missouri Valley Conference team. If you ask me, they can be really good and they can also be kind of bad. So I think Missouri State's kind of a roller coaster, but Murray State, they are led by Javon Jackson. First of all, this game is at 10 o'clock on ESPN Plus. Second of all, Nevada is 7.5 point home favorites in this matchup. Now, Murray State, they're led by Javon Jackson, averaging 16.5 points per game and 1.2 steals. Roman Domon, averaging 14.1 points per game, 5.1 rebounds, and 1.1 steals. And Fred King, the big fella, averaging 13.1 points per game, 8.3 rebounds, and 2 blocks per game. Now, their X factor to me, I kind of went back and forth between JJ Traynor and Mason Miller, but I ultimately went Mason Miller, and he's going to have to stay hot from 3, shooting the 3-ball at 39.8% from 3. I think Murray State's going to have to cook a bunch of 3-balls for them to be in this game against Nevada. When Nevada has the big 3, speaking of Nevada's big 3, it is led by Corey Camper Jr., who's averaging 17 points per game, 4.4 rebounds, and 1.2 steals. Elijah Price averaging 12.6 points per game, 8.3 rebounds, 1.2 steals, and 1.7 blocks. And Tayshawn Comer, who's averaging 11.4 points per game, 3.5 assists per game. Now, their X factor, in my opinion, is a guy who's been cooking lately, and that's Vaughn Williams. In the last 2 games, Vaughn Williams has averaged 16.5 points per game, which is incredible, especially, like I said, with them having a big 3 of Price, Comer, and Camper. But with that being said, I am taking Nevada as my winner because I think Elijah Price is going to be tough to stop. Then you throw in the mix of Joel Armo-Trading, who comes in about anywhere between 15 20 minutes a game, and he's just bringing in tenacity, bringing in a defensive presence, a shot blocker. He can't get in foul trouble. I've seen Armo-Trading get in foul trouble, but you mix that with Elijah Price scoring ability, that's kind of tough for a Murray State, in my opinion, to deal with. And again, while I do think Murray State is a solid 3-point shooting team, you don't want to live and die by the 3-ball, and I can see Murray State dying by the 3-ball today. So give me Nevada in this matchup. Next, we have St. Joe's, who is one of the hotter teams in this conference tournament. Well, not conference tournament, in this NIT tournament. My apologies. Taking on Colorado State, who is also one of the hotter teams in this NIT tournament. Colorado State was on a 8-game win streak before they lost to Boise State in their season finale. Which Boise State was on like a 5-game win streak when they played each other. So it was like 8 game versus 5 game. Somebody streak got to lose. But anyway, this game is 11 o'clock on ESPNU. Colorado State is 5.5-point home favorites in this matchup. St. Joe's, they are led by Jaden Glover Toscano, who's averaging 15.8 points per game and 4.8 rebounds. Derek Simpson averaging 13.5 points per game, 5.1 rebounds, 5.3 assists, and 1.4 steals. And Dasker Haskins, who's averaging 10.9 points per game, 6.3 rebounds. Now, the X factor is Austin Williford in this game, in my opinion, with his three-point shooting the ball at 34.6% from the three and averaging 7.9 points per game. Colorado State's actually been hot. When they've been winning or on that streak, they were actually doing well shooting from three. So he's going to have to help neutralize that with a 3-ball of his own, which I wouldn't say 34 or we'll round up to 35% ain't the greatest, but it's good. It's really good, actually. It's just, 40 is elite. 35 is really good, though. Colorado State, they're led by Brandon Rechsteiner, averaging 12.2 points per game. He was kind of like the catalyst from that 3-point surgence. Kyle Jurgensen, averaging 11.9 points per game, 4.1 rebounds, and Carey Booth, averaging 10.7 points per game, 5.6 rebounds, and 1 block per game. Now, the X factor to me is going to be Rashawn Memba. I think if Rashawn Memba can dominate down low, get buckets around the rim, get offensive rebounds. I know he's only averaging like 3.6 boards or something like that, but if he could play better than his stats, I think Colorado State will be a tough out in this ball game. And I'm honestly going with Colorado State in this ball game, but I'm not going to lie to y'all. I am taking St. Joe's plus the points. I wish I could have got it at 6.5 like it was this morning. I did not, but I think Colorado State can win this ball game, but I think it's going to be a close one throughout. I can see St. Joseph possibly winning this game as well. Again, both teams were hot to end the year. Colorado State won 8-9. I think St. Joseph's ended on like a 6-game win streak or something like that, and it's 8-10. But both teams were super hot, so both teams could come out blazing. I think both teams are very I don't want to say physical, but yeah, I mean, I don't think Colorado State is super physical, but they're hard nosed. I would say both teams are like hard nosed, like they get after it. So give me Colorado State, but I am taking St. Joe's plus the 5.5. And the last game, which I think this is going to be a battle of the guards, UIC, University of Illinois Chicago, taking on the California Golden Bears. Cal is 5.5-point favorites in this matchup at home. This game is 11 o'clock on ESPN2. Now, for UIC, they are led by Ahmad Henderson, which I like Ahmad Henderson's game. He's averaging 12.1 points per game, super quick. Elijah Crawford averaging 14.1 points per game, 4.6 assists, and 1.4 steals. And Andy Johnson averaging 11.4 points per game and 3.5 rebounds per game. Now, the X factor to me is going to be Rashawn Washington Jr. In his last 3 games, he is averaging 16.7 points per game. It's 16.67, but hey, in basketball, we do one number after the decimal. So 16.7 points per game in his last 3, which is stupendous, especially against the Cal team who gives up, I would say, a lot of points. Now, Cal, they're led by their 2 guards, Day Ames, averaging 17.2 points per game, and Justin Pippen, averaging 14.3 points per game, 3.9 rebounds, 4.5 assists, and 1.8 steals per game. And they're also led by Lee Dort, averaging 8.3 points per game and 8 rebounds per game, which is very big for the Golden Bears. Now, their X factor to me is going to be Chris Bell and his 3-point shooting ability, shooting the 3-ball at 37.6%, which is 38 rounded up. And he's also averaging 13.4 points per game with that strap. So that's big, and that's why I'm taking Cal, because Cal has scoring from all over the place. Like I said, Chris Bell, Day Ames, Justin Pippen, you name it, they can score the basketball. And I think UIC, their guards can get up on you. They can play some defense, but I don't know if they can score the ball and match pace with Cal. So I'm taking the Cal Golden Bears to beat UIC at home. Again, UIC has to travel from Midwest time zone. So I think that's Mountain, right? No, Central time, excuse me. From Central time to Western or Pacific time, which that time difference, UIC hasn't been out there, I don't believe, all season. So who knows how that's going to treat them, how that's going to do with them. So give me the Cal Golden Bears to beat UIC. And we'll move on to the round of 64 for day 2. And we're going to start with Prairie View A&M taking on Lehigh. Now, Lehigh is 2.5-point favorites in this matchup. This game is at 6:40 on True TV. Prairie View A&M got here winning the SWAC conference tournament. Lehigh got here winning the Patriot League tournament. So shout out to them for winning their conference tournament. Shout out for them to making the dance. But Prairie View, they are led by Dante Horn, averaging 20.2 points per game, 4.5 rebounds, and 1.9 steals. Terrion Joseph, averaging 18.2 points per game, 1.1 steals. And Corey Wells, averaging 13.1 points per game, 7.1 rebounds, 1.2 steals, and 1.1 blocks per game. Now, their X factor to me is going to be Lance Williams. Lance Williams is averaging 21.3 points per game in his last 4. Actually, let me double check that because I feel like I might have did bad math there. But he has been balling his last 4. I can't lie to y'all. He's been going absolutely insane for Prairie View, and that was basically in the tournament, doing a heck of a job. I just want to check my math because something that don't seem right to me. I feel like I did bad math there, and I apologize if I did. Let's see. This last 4, he had 18, 18, 12, and 17. So yeah, there's no way he averaged 21. My apologies. But let's do the math. We're going to do the math live. So 18, 18, 12, and 17. Yeah, in the last 4, he's averaging 16.3. My apologies. I don't need my pen. He's averaging 16.3 in his last 4, which is still great. Still great. But Lehigh, they're led by Nasir Whitlock, who's averaging 21 points per game, 3.5 rebounds, and 1 steal. Hank Alvery, who's averaging 15 points per game and 6.9 rebounds and 1.1 steals per game and 1.8 blocks. And Joshua Ingram, averaging 10.6 points per game, 5.1 rebounds, and 1.4 steals. Now, their X factor to me is Edward Benoit, averaging 6 rebounds per game. It's going to have to be a force on the glass with Hank Alvery, with Joshua Ingram, getting boards and getting the ball down court, trying to get scoring opportunities. I accidentally unplugged my mic, reaching for my pen, so it muted me. But I didn't say anything. I caught myself the time. But I don't know why I'm having so many technical difficulties today. Excuse me. I'm not home. I don't know why this is happening, but just please work with me. This is not normal. I promise you this. I feel like somebody explaining themselves after like I normally don't do this, but I normally don't do this. But anyway, my winner is Lehigh. I do think Lehigh gets it done. Now, I've been going back and forth with this, especially with Lance Williams and his last 4 performances in the SWAC, mixed with Dante Horn. It seems like Prairie View can definitely score the rock. But I think Lehigh, man, I think Lehigh can match that intensity. I think Lehigh can match the scoring ability. I think Lehigh can get it done defensively as well. So give me Lehigh over Prairie View A&M. And now I'm pretty sure this is the game everybody's been waiting for. I can't wait to see it. It is the Miami Redhawks, Miami of Ohio Redhawks. I'm sorry, Travis, still y'all are Miami of Ohio. It's literally in the abbreviation. Taking on SMU. SMU is 7.5-point favorites. This game is 30 minutes after Prairie View A&M and Lehigh. So it says 9:15, but again, it's 30 minutes after the previous game. And it's on True TV. Now, SMU 7.5-point favorites, just in case I didn't say so. But Miami of Ohio, they're led by Peter Suter. Peter Suter's averaging 14.6 points per game, 4.6 rebounds, 4 assists, and 1.4 steals. Brant Byers averaging 14.2 points per game, 4.1 rebounds per game. And Ian Elmer averaging 12.6 points per game, 6 rebounds, and 1.2 steals per game. Their X factor is Antoine Woolfolk, excuse me. I have tough time speaking. Dealing with, and this is their X factor because he's going to have to deal with you get Tuglow and Jaden Toombs, especially Jaden Toombs. Jaden Toombs has been playing very well his last 2 games, but he's going to have to deal with those 2 down low. And that's a tough matchup, tough ask for Woolfolk. But we'll move on to SMU, who is led by Boopy Miller. Boopy Miller is averaging 19.2 points per game, 3.9 rebounds, 6.4 assists, and 1.5 steals. Jerron Pierre Jr. averaging 17.6 points per game and 4.9 rebounds. And BJ Edwards, who is still questionable with that ankle injury. I just put him up here. He is questionable. Also, Casey Washington is also questionable for SMU. But BJ Edwards is averaging 12.7 points per game, 5.9 rebounds, 4.9 assists, and 2.3 steals. And their X factor to me is Jaden Toombs. Jaden Toombs in his last 2 games is averaging 14.5 points per game, and 10 rebounds per game. So really great performances in his last two games for Jaden Toombs, and I think that he has the possibility to add on to those two performances against Miami of Ohio. But my winner, sorry, Miami of Ohio, I've been rocking with y'all all year, but I think y'all get y'all first ever 2-game losing streak. I am taking SMU. I think Yugi Tuglu and Jaden Toombs is just going to be too much down low. I think Miami of Ohio plays with fire way too much. They've been playing with fire all year. They just didn't get burned into the game against UMass in the MAC tournament. And if Miami of Ohio gets a lead, I don't know if they're going to be feeling pyromatic. They feel like playing with fire again. While SMU, yeah, they kind of ended the season cold. I think that's in large part due to the BJ Edwards injury. But again, I think if SMU goes down, Miami of Ohio tends to let up leads, and you don't want to do that against an SMU team with two dynamic scorers in Boopie Miller and Jaron Pierre Jr. Also, I feel like Miami of Ohio can live and die by the 3-ball a little too much. So I'm going to take SMU in this matchup. Unfortunately for Miami of Ohio, they don't get past Dayton, even though this is technically a home game for them. I just got SMU winning this ball game. So that's all I got for y'all today. Now, I will be coming at y'all super early in the morning. Got somewhere to be early in the morning tomorrow, so I got to get it done. I don't think I'll be able to get on before the game starts to do it after my obligation. Now, also, brackets locked tomorrow at noon, so make sure you check your bracket, look over it twice. Make sure you get your final bracket in before noon tomorrow, because after that, there's no more changing it. You got to live with it. You got to let it rock. Can't wait. It's going to be a fun day tomorrow. I know a lot of people excited. I'm excited. I mean, it's a lot of work that come with it because I got to write up all these pregame stuff, but it's a great time in collegiate, just in sports period. Now, please like, comment, share, subscribe. I appreciate everybody for tuning in, but it helps the channel, it helps the network. Speaking of the network, we have multiple shows. We have the main show featuring Joe, Tomo, and Dave every Monday and Thursday between 7 and 8:30ish. That's the main show. Check them out. Next, we have Unfazed, who I just got the word probably about 5 minutes before I got online. The Unfazed will be tomorrow. So check out Unfazed tomorrow. That's featuring Joe and AJ. Probably got some Eagles topics. You know, the Eagles made a trade for Andy Dalton. I mean, that's not groundbreaking. They signed Hollywood Brown. I call him Bollywood Brown, but shout out to them for that. Next, we have BWT, Baseball with Teddy. Eugenio Suarez, game-winning RBI double. Well, yeah, game-winning, because that's what it was. Venezuela beats America. Second time I watched America go to the finals in the WBC, and they lost. They lost to the GOAT the first time, so I ain't too mad at it. GOAT got Mike Trout swinging, but then we lose to Venezuela, man. We gotta stop being the bridesmaids and be the brides. I think that's what it's called when you keep being a runner-up. Anyway, we gotta stop being a runner-up, and we gotta be the champs, man. And I know people want to be like, "Oh, schoolball, blame the Tigers, don't blame schoolball." But anyway, make sure y'all tune in to WBC because the regular season is around the corner. I believe the regular season, if I'm not mistaken, is next week. If I'm not mistaken. Next, we have FFC Fantasy Football with Coach Coombs. Free agency's kind of died down. The draft is like a month away, so make sure you check into FFC for all your for the content he drops. Obviously, fantasy football season is over because football season is over. Next, we have RBO, Real Ballers Only, and my boy K left the game in the first quarter, man. But the Pistons got the dub. But NBA show featuring Vaughn, so make sure you check him out. We have Dave's Doghouse, highlights and lowlights of sport. We have in the Red Corner, boxing show featuring Tyreek and Tomo for all your boxing needs. Make sure you check out In the Red Corner. They go live on Sundays, not every Sunday, but when they do go live, it is on Sundays around 6:30. And then the last show we have for y'all, Zero Sports Talk with Griffey. That show is one of the new, it is the newest show on the network. I don't think he's had a live show yet. I think he's only dropped pre-recorded episodes. So when they drop, just look out for them and make sure you tune in. But that's all the shows we have on the network. So please like, comment, share, subscribe to those shows as well. And if you like what you're listening to, stick with us. Again, I will be back tomorrow morning to talk about the round of 64 for just Thursday. Just Thursday. But until then, I'm gone. I'm about to get ready to watch these games, man. Hopefully y'all are too. Peace.
Thank you for staying to the end. If you're watching this on YouTube, please like this video, subscribe, and also hit that notification button so you can be notified next time we put out a video. If you're listening on any podcast platform, subscribe and hit that notification button, y'all, so you can be notified we put out another podcast audio. And last but not least, hit that share button. No matter what you're listening to or watching it, hit that share button and send it to somebody that you know that would love to watch this episode you just listened to. So once again, thank you for staying to the end, and we'll see y'all in the next episode.